So, very good morning here on another breaking news episode directly here from sunny Dubai, just for you as a market update to see where we at the markets right now, and also a couple of news overnight. What I love to do always is to look into the local news. So, for example, China South Morgan Post or the German news, to see how the news are really in the each countries itself. This is a little bit more, let's say, truthful than, let's say, filtered news by other news outlets out there in the US or somewhere else, right? So this we will do right now, and also we will have a look or discuss the interview that the billionaire Mark Cuban did. He actually, let me have a look. So this is the interview. You can watch it on CNBC. Mark Cuban is one of the well-respected billionaires. He made his money in the .com, let's say, run when he sold, I think his website was called broadcast.com, and he was the first guy who really broadcasted things over the internet, and he started, I think, with sports and then sold his company to Yahoo by then, and since then he is investing into, for example, Dallas Mavericks. He's the owner of this basketball club, and also he is investing into startups. So he is a big supporter of local businesses, small businesses. He is also an angel investor, so he is really knowing what is going on into the small businesses as well, right? Because he is so much invested into them. Therefore, you can see and hear from his statements that he's not happy how everything goes up, because he said that demand is not there and it's hard to survive for those companies out there that are still small or in smaller scale, obviously because they don't have this big cushions like the big companies has. And this big companies has obviously a lot of employees and costs that they could potentially cut, which small business can't. And therefore he is a big supporter of more stimulus directly to the companies, direct to the people to spend it, which is, I think, a great step, or would be a great step if the US economy would follow this. But let's see how this develops. I think more and more you see that the stimulus, or I feel like the stimulus is more going to the big players out there, obviously because they have much jobs to save. But don't forget, 99% of all businesses out there are small and medium companies, guys, okay? 65% of all employment is by small and medium companies. So it's rather important to save those. Maybe even more important, much more important than the big guys. So think about that. Obviously the big guys is, the stock market, the public market, the news outlets, right? How it would look like when the big companies, big American companies would go bust, right? So this is the question, guys, that the government or governments around the world has to solve, which I think is a very big challenge, guys. It's nothing that we had already and we just look into our templates for these government officials. More and more voices are coming that the House would prefer or would agree to another stimulus check to give people the money. I heard in the last couple of days also some interesting ideas that to give them maybe a debit card like thing that they have to spend, right? So they would go out there and spend this money directly into this economy, which would help to bring the economy further up rather than just giving them a check that they may be safe, because the times are so uncertain that people are scared to spend, and therefore the demand is not there for those companies. So big question there. But let's have a look into the worldwide news. I have prepared here an article from Germany. Germany had around 1,000 new cases, and the repercussion rate, so the rate that are more and more, let's say, people are getting affected, the Germany one said if the number is higher than 1, over a long time, then the health system will collapse. If the number is lower, then obviously this is good for Germany. And Germany, as you know, handled the overall situation very, very well. So therefore, it's always a nice thing to see, okay, how these countries are going to reopen now and what is the effect on the whole system and on the whole population. And the last days it was quite interesting because the number went over 1. It was 1.1, 1.15, and now the latest number that I could find this morning is 0.81. So you can see that this number is going down, which apparently is positive news. Obviously this is just, you know, numbers from one day to another, so we need to see this on a very longer scale basis. You know, you remember how long it took for the overall situation to develop in these countries, so it's not something that we just open and then see after 1 week what the cases are doing. It's rather than we open or slowly open and then see how the cases are doing over a month period, and then you have a much more clearer picture to understand if those reopenings can be further continued, right? So this is important, guys, to really see that this number is, as of this moment, worldwide, maybe not that much representative as we might think. So this is the news from Europe, from Germany. And if we're looking a little bit more east, then we reach the South China Morning Post, and here we see a little bit of concerning news, in my personal opinion, because it seems that Wuhan will be wholly, as a whole city, 14 million people will be retested in a 10-day campaign. So you see that there is a new outbreak of new strains of Wuhan, and so this is not so good news, guys, because if this is happening in the epicenter that was there, this means that the reopening is slowly, and I think this is the country where we see or the city where we can see how this is maybe picking up again. So this is important to really watch now into Wuhan and Germany, all those, Italy as well, these countries that was heavily affected as well and are reopening right now. So this is very important to watch right now to see how this will further develop. Let's have a look how the market, the pre-market is going on. I have seen before I switched on live that the market is actually a little bit up, a little bit down, not that much decisive as of now. As we can see here, the pre-market data is negative for the S&P 500, but minimal negative. As you can see, we went from negative in the night, a little bit positive here, then negative, now going back to positive a little bit. So not really decisive here. The market is relative neutral, so not a big outbreak in either direction. Then we see here that also the Russell, which is always the most vulnerable index from all of them, because those are the companies that are not quite big and don't have so much, let's say, precautions to be in be more stable in this kind of situations, right? So we should watch this. Nasdaq obviously very, very strong over the last couple of days. This is because the tech companies are benefiting from all of this, and and really show us that they will maintain a certain goodness into the market overall. I have seen recently a graphic that I just will find out and will share with you as well. If you take out all the big tech out of the indexes and then look into that, I think I might find this S&P 500 equal weight ETF. Okay, so this is This is quite interesting. Let me have a look if I can show it to you guys. So this is the ETF. It's called S&P 500. Okay, it doesn't want to show it to me. Let's see if we can find it here. It's showing us actually if every company would be equally weighted, then where is the chart here? Can I zoom into this chart? I don't think so. Let me find another one. So you see, it's even not it's even not easy to find this equal weight chart, but I can tell you that I saw this chart and it was quite yeah, more down than the usual chart. I think this is the, so you can see year-to-date return minus 20% if all tech companies, industrial companies, whatever is in the S&P 500, now the most valued company inside the index are the big tech companies, that is further driving the whole market up. But you see, if all companies would be equal weight, then we have a year-to-date returns of minus 20%. And this showing us how actually the market is affected, and those big numbers that we see in the overall indexes or in the NASDAQ that is purely tech, how tech is really thriving the market. So I see you a little bit later with an update on the market, maybe before or just at the opening of the market. Thank you very much for watching, and I see you later on.